I was one of 6 children, number 5 out of 6. And I thought our family was pretty good size. There were 8 of us living for about 5 years of the beginning of my life in a 1-bathroom, 2-bedroom little house. My oldest brother slept in the garage, and 8 people fighting over the bathroom. Oh, dear God in heaven. That's the way it was. And then, not long after that, I learned that both of my parents were one of 13 brothers and sisters, both my mom and my dad. And so they doubled my family life, doubled plus 1. Just this week, on the floor of my room, in one of my stacks of papers, I noticed it, and I glanced at it before, but I never really looked at it. It's a little genealogy like of my great-grandparents who grew up in the Volga region of Germany, but their princess, Catherine the Great, married a Russian, so she invited Germans over to Russia. They settled there, and then later on, half of them came to the United States. So my people, my great-grandparents who lived in Obermunster, Russia, came over and formed Munger, Kansas. My great-grandma and grandpa had 18 children. So they tripled my little family size. Now, if I had a brother on either side of me, 3 years apart each way, we fought real nice a lot. And if that happened with just 6 of us, and really my closest 2 brothers, what was it like for Joseph, Mary, and Jesus? Oh, they had troubles, even with 1. And today we get the hot story, the troublesome story about how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. Now, you may not know this. Each year I try and discover something a little new, so I went a little more deeply into the reality of Jewish weddings. And a wedding, a marriage took place in 3 stages. The first stage was engagement. Now, let's see. How old are you? 11. What's your first name? Pardon? Noah? Ooh, good biblical name, Noah. Princess? How old? 6. Okay, you 2 will be married in 10 years, okay? I've arranged it. It's going to happen. That was engagement. You don't pick your spouse. The parents do. And you know they have some money. Yeah, you know you have some money and you got a little land, so you're going to increase it, increase your holdings as a family. This is how it was done. If they loved each other in life, okay. If they didn't, okay. You're supposed to have a lot of babies. Make sure there's some males, because that's how it all gets passed down through the male line. That was the first stage. So people were engaged even way before they would be married. Then the second stage came, called betrothal. And this was the stage that Joseph and Mary were in, betrothal. It lasted a year. They couldn't move in together. They couldn't sleep together. It was a period of the final preparation. What we call engagement was their betrothal period. Now, if a girl got pregnant, both of them could be killed. Both of them could be stoned to death. If it were by someone else, well, those 2 would be stoned to death. So Joseph, in this betrothal period, discovers my wife, because she was considered legally his wife. It was a formal stage. Right now they're married, but they're not in that last stage where they move in together and live out their marriage. In fact, in this stage, if they decided not to marry, which could be done, they had to get a divorce. And so that's why it says it. They were in the betrothal stage. They weren't married, but Joseph decided, he was an upright man. He said, well, can't marry her. Can't do that. What a scandal. But I'll divorce her quietly, which meant he had to get minimum 2 witnesses, and then he could divorce her and therefore not bring any violence into her life or death. That was his decision until he went to sleep. And then the mystery begins. And this is typical of Jews. They experience God so many times in their visions and dreams. Those were very important to them. These were things that guided their lives. And of course, they were just drenched in religion. There was no state. State and religion were one. So every single decision had to do with God. No wonder they dreamt about God a lot. So an angel appears and tells him, don't worry, don't be afraid. You got to marry her because she's pregnant not by man, but by God's Spirit. and God has come upon her and put this life into her, and you're going to have this son, and his name will be Jesus because he will save people from their sins. And then he said, quoting the Isaiah passage, which we also heard in the first reading, his name shall be Emmanuel, which means God is with us. That was enough for Joseph. That's all he needed to guide him. He was able to wake up and say, whoa, I see clearly. I see clearly. Does that happen to us? I suppose. I think all of us at times, we can have a lot of fogginess around an issue. We don't know what to do. We talk to somebody, a stranger at the market, and then something clicks and we say, there it is. Thank you, God. Now I know what I got to do. It's a mystery how it happens. In the introduction today, hopefully you heard this, it said, for the Jews it would be impossible to ever see God's face or perhaps hear his voice. He's too great, too much, too powerful. So he sent his messengers to guide and help his people. And then I added this. What is clear is that people have always believed that God guides us and shows us what we need to know. God guides us and shows us what we need to know. Do we believe that? That's what we call an angel visiting. That's what we call when we come to understand or know something, and not even logically. There's a place in us that knows this is what I need to do now. And we can come to that place and have total peace and total security in it. Emmanuel, God is with us. I want to know, and this is a question I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, identify yourself. How many of you would be willing to accept this visit into your home for a week? He calls from Rome, from the Vatican. He says, hello, I am Pope Francis, and I would like to come to your house for a week. Would you allow me to be a guest in your home? In your home. How many would welcome Pope Francis into your house for a week? Are you nuts? You got to be nuts. I'm nervous when the bishop comes. I mean, he's going to be here for a couple hours. I have to feed him, and oh, God, is he picky? Oh, what? Oh, Pope Francis for a week, you're going to feed him and make him comfortable, and oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Well, no, but this time it's going to be just him. But I'm telling you. Now you might say, oh, no, but it's the Pope. It would be beautiful. Really? Huh? I wouldn't want someone that important. I think I would be a little uncomfortable. How many, now here's the trick question. Get ready. How many, raise your hand, would like it, and you would know you would know it's not a dream, it's not a vision, it's a reality. Somehow Jesus Christ actually appeared to you and said, I'd like to come into your house, Emmanuel, be in your house with you for a week. How many people would welcome him? You're extra nuts. Really? Really? This is how I think Jesus is. I'm going to compare him to Aunt Tilly. Aunt Tilly is your fussy aunt. She's smart, she's bright, she's got money, she drives a pink Cadillac. This woman she's wild, she's amazing, she's wise, but you don't cross her path, and she has advice for everything. No, don't do that, that's silly. Oh, well, when are you going to grow up and do this? And she's always on you, always on you. That's Jesus. That's Jesus. Come on. Jesus is full of grace and full of love, but do you think Jesus is not the little baby in the crib that we look at and go, ooh, ah. Now that baby Jesus for a week would not be bad. Changing the diapers would be all right. But grown Jesus, did you listen to his teachings? Peter says, Lord, how many times must we forgive? 7 times? No, Peter, not 7 times, the magic number. I tell you 70 times, 7 times. What? You must take the last place, not the first place. You must serve. You must always show compassion. You want that Jesus in there for a week? Telling you what to do and how to do it, and letting you know always, never condemning, but saying, don't you want more life? Now, yes, if that's how we understand Jesus, but it depends how you understand Jesus. Like a lot of you have introduced me to your God, and I do not want to know your God. I don't like him. The God that so many people introduced me to. He's mean, he's tough, and he's condemning. And he says things like, huh? Okay, yeah, committed a big sin, and you may be in flames forever. Goodbye. That's the God that a lot of people know. They introduce me, and I say thank you, but no thank you. I do like my Jesus. I do like my God, my Father. But what Jesus has introduced to me is very different. Now, that Emmanuel, I'll take. Because I think he would say, Perry, that wasn't very loving. You know, there is a better way. Perry, do you really want to keep holding on to that grudge, or do you think you're ready to forgive? Perry, you don't let me in very far. Would you like to trust me a little more? Can I be your Emmanuel? Now, that was the trick. If that's the Jesus we're talking about, yeah, come on, move on in. And not just for a week, Lord, the rest of my life. Here's my heart. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Because that Jesus really has something to say to us. I know the crib is pretty, but the Jesus we want to meet is 30 to 33. In fact, that's the one we meet in the Scriptures. That one day, 3 days in the temple, 12-year-old, only in Luke, that doesn't count much. That's a beautiful theological story. But when he comes out at 30, for those 3 years to minister to us, to move in, to be Emmanuel, are the 3 years that we're talking about. And there, he invites us, he calls us, he challenges us. There, he wants to make us new people. Quite frankly, I think it is so extraordinary if we all met that Jesus in a way that every single one of us said, Jesus, oh my God, I want to follow you with all my heart. Boom. Commercial message. Commercial message. I'm giving a retreat on the 28th of January. It's about that Jesus. That Jesus. It's not the baby Jesus. It's the 30 to 33 Jesus. The one who calls us and invites us and challenges us and loves us and wants to guide us to a place, what he would say, to have the fullness of life, so that your joy may be my joy and your joy may be complete. We are 1 week, exactly 1 week away from the day on which we celebrate the birth of that Jesus. And as mesmerized as we will be by that manger and crib, that's just the invitation. Let him move in as a baby. We'll take care of the pampers. But very quickly, we'll move to that 30 to 33, where he will give us the opportunity to know him, to love him, to follow him, and to find life.